Hey YouTube, Steven Bogran here, Basic Fitness LLC. Today, what I had on my mind to talk about was just for me, the process of going from a high school dropout to somebody who is now beginning their graduate school. For a lot of people, I assume high school was not their favorite time. Me in particular, I really disliked it. So I always did pretty well in school when it came to academics. My issues lied within behavior. So I had a lot of energy, and I really didn't like to sit for long periods of time in school. And then I didn't find it motivating. I wasn't interested in any of the stuff that was going on. And so trying to get into the school where it can really, get my attention just never really happened. So I think that those were some of my main issues, or where my main issues stemmed from. So I made it through my first 3 years of high school. I did fine. I slept through most of my classes. I still got A's and B's. I didn't take honors classes. I didn't really try because I didn't care. It was school, and at most I was there to hang out with my friends and find out when the party was that weekend. And that was pretty much it. So I just didn't go my senior year. I got withdrawn most of the way through my first semester because I never showed up, so I was failing all my classes. And then I went back in second semester for my senior year to do classes, and the idea was, hey, I'll go to summer school and do it, and it just never happened. So I just dropped out. I was done. I was about 18 at this point, and I thought, well, I don't need school anyways, and so I'm not going to go back, and that was the end of it. I thought I was going to make a living playing music, and I was pretty average. I wasn't anything special. So I moved up to Ohio with a buddy. I had the chance, and I just left. It's like, hey, see you, Florida. And I was in Ohio for a couple years. I had a lot of fun. I did a lot of drinking, did a lot of partying. Played a little bit of music while I was up there, but mostly just waited tables and made by. So pretty much what ended up happening in Ohio was my roommate decided that bills weren't that important. And after I got tired of paying all the bills, we ended up getting evicted from our apartment about a month before the lease was up. Last couple weeks we were there, actually lived with no power. It just made it a really easy decision. I had the opportunity to come back home to Florida, and so that was what I did. So I ended up moving back down to Florida. I think I was about 21 at this point. I said, you know what? It's probably time that I start looking at school. And I was still more interested in playing music, and that was what I was doing. I ended up getting with a band and playing with them for a while as well. I was playing with them for about a year and a half, and I looked at school. I did make a little bit of an effort. I went to ITT Tech, and I looked at it, and it was pretty expensive, and I didn't qualify for any kind of financial aid. So I said, well, I'm not taking out loans to go to school. I'm not going to get into a bunch of debt to do something I don't want to do anyways, really. And so I put it off. I didn't really think about it too much after that. I just kind of played music and partied and had fun, and eventually I quit the band because there were other things that I thought were a better investment of my time, and I ended up, go figure, I met a girl. We ended up getting engaged for a while, and I decided, alright, well, I really need to get it together because what I'm doing right now isn't going to work. By this point, I'm 24, and I can qualify for a Pell Grant now. So I get, some money from the government every year that covers all of my expenses to go to community college. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I thought I still wanted to do music at this point in time, but I was like, I'm just gonna go for something. I don't necessarily have to go for anything in particular. It's just my first 2 years. I'm just gonna go sort of test it out, and see how I feel about it. Find out what I like and what I don't like, so on and so forth. So I did. I ended up taking some music courses and realized I really didn't like music in terms of collegiate and study-wise. And after I started, I actually had a friend that I worked out with at the time that decided he was going to do a physique competition. And so I said, all right, you know what, I'll do it too. Because, I felt like I was in pretty good shape at that point in time. I laugh about it now because me now would have told me then to never do it, to take some time off, build muscle, whatever. But, that being said, doing the physique competition and training, it stirred up a lot inside me, and I found out that I really had a passion for it. I realized that this is something I want to do, I want to continue to do, and I want to try and make a living out of. And so I narrowed down my collegiate ideas to, exercise science and something that I could use for biomedical sciences or something of the sort. So I finished out my last 2 years at the community college, with no student loan debts. And I finished out all my prereqs just in time to start an exercise science degree over at USF. So it was a cohort program, so if I didn't make it in time, I had to wait another year to start the degree. USF was a little bit more difficult. It was more time consuming for sure. My last 2 years of my undergrad, I made anywhere between 45-minute to most days an hour. It was in between that amount of time most days. Sometimes if traffic was really bad, it would be an hour and a half or two. And then, so I would be there 4 to 5 days a week, taking classes. I really like to be in the lab and to supervise and to take part in the research. So I would do that as much as I could, all while also still working. Because unlike my first 2 years, once I got to USF, it did not cover all of my expenses. So I had to pay out of pocket for a bit of it, and then for my last year I made more money than I did prior, and I actually had to pay out a bit more money. So it wasn't too difficult to swing. I was able to come back and live at home throughout this entire process. My mom has been a huge blessing with that. So I actually got to make it through my first 4 years, my entire undergraduate degree, with no student loan debt. That is still the goal throughout the graduate degree and hopefully maintainable. But those last 2 years taught me a lot about myself. So I got involved in powerlifting for the first time and started, there's this weird thing that education does is you just get better and better and better at what you do. You begin to understand it more, and you can apply that knowledge to other facets of what your group of study is. So for me, since it was something that I had passion about and that I loved anyways, seeing these other facets of exercise and of strength and conditioning and just of the field, I learned so much more in my last 2 years of my undergraduate than what I would have just learned during the class load. Because I was getting into powerlifting, I met people like Paul Revella and Lane Norton, like intelligent people who are on, they're seeing research as it's happening and hearing about the results, and so they're on the cutting edge of the field, and we got it. Like, it's been a great opportunity because I've learned and I've learned and I've learned. I also learned a lot about the business aspects from Paul and a lot of other things as well. And so not only did I get this great education from college from my actual coursework, but I got a lot of great education from the people around me, from their personal experiences, from their knowledge, their knowledge base that they already had coming in as well. And then the connections that I made. So it's just by all means, it was worth every penny. You know, I would not go back. I don't know why I waited so long. Probably because of the bills, and so that was my big deterrent. Not everybody has to take out loans. Some people can swing it. Some people can't. I definitely recommend busting your ass and doing what it takes to not have to take out loans if you can, because having that hang over your head, I hear it really sucks. And so now here I am. I start graduate classes next week. I have my graduate school orientation tomorrow, for something that 10 years ago I didn't even know I liked, much less that I loved. I think that if you're stuck in a rut and you're realizing that what you're doing isn't going anywhere, you're gonna have to really reprioritize your life. You're gonna have to decide what really matters to you, because that's what I had to do for me. I liked playing music and I enjoyed it and I had fun, but I can still play music, and it wasn't going anywhere. Nothing came out of it. There wasn't any money in it for me. I wasn't good enough. I had to really sit down and take an objective look at my life and say, ask myself, what am I doing? Where is this going to take me? And do I want to be where it's going to take me? So, those were a lot of the questions that I asked that really, told me, hey, okay, it's time to change the way you're living in your life. It's time to change what you're doing and make some decisions that are going to build a better future. I don't necessarily care a ton about money, but I want a house. I want to have a yard. I like having decent things, and I like having food in the fridge, and a roof over the head. So what I was doing wasn't going to get me there. I think this applies to a lot of different facets of life. If you're looking at it simply through, hey, should I go back to school? Hell yeah, you should. Even if it doesn't pan out in the long run, it's the pursuit of what you want. It's going to make you better at what you're trying to do. You're going to only improve. And nobody can take it away from you. I know it's kind of one of those things that a lot of people expect, I think, from middle and upper class at least. You go to college. You just go to college, man. And I know that I'm kind of in that in-between area where college is, it's important, but you can do it without it. I think it's a lot more difficult to do it without it. I think that going out and getting your education, it opens a lot of doors that you wouldn't have available to you otherwise. So, if you're hanging out and life isn't exactly going where you think you want it to go, or you don't really like where you're at right now, reprioritize, make it important. The only person that can change it is you. Nobody else is going to do it for you. You have to take the reins and you have to make the decisions. And that's what I did. And that's pretty much how I went from high school dropout to now graduate student going after my master's degree. But that was what was going through my head today, what I thought I wanted to share. So hopefully it helps somebody out. I don't know. But that's it.